What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to Warhammer 40K Space Marine, in which we wear enormous pauldrons, we have useless backpacks, we push buttons, and then we try and shave people's heads so that they all look uniform. Somebody had raised the question in the first episode, and I realized I cut these in episodes. I do them in batches of 3, just in case you were ever wondering. And so, I'll probably try and answer questions every third episode or so just be aware that I do pre-record everything. I try to say that as much as possible, but every other day somebody's like, "You don't read my comments!" And so I really feel as though I probably can't repeat it enough. In this episode, we had blown up a giant gun, or in the previous episode, we had blown up a giant artillery cannon that was battering up the Imperial Guard. Hold on here. I have to stop talking in order to aim. It's a weird dysfunction, and this slugger boy right here is not going to be allowed to live much longer. I'm going to try and get my Stalker Bolter out, and we'll use this for a little bit. I have noticed a trend that the Stalker Bolter is very good for getting rid of some of these large knobs, and if there's one thing I know about Warhammer 40K, it's that I don't want knobs like anywhere near me. If I can keep knobs away from my body, face, wherever, I would prefer that to be the case. Oh my, he's not going down, is he? And that reset my reload, which is enjoyable. I'm gonna go ahead and execute him really. Oh, never mind. Looks like Sidonis, or whoever that was, is just going to jack him from the side, which is cool. If you want to jack an orc, go for it. I feel like you might get an explicit rating or something, though. I feel like that might downgrade you a little bit with the ESRB. It would be subject matter that I don't think Games Workshop has ever tried to tackle before. But, you know, Rule 34, or whatever the hell it is. I always forget my numbers, too. Rule 34, Rule 39, I think it's Rule 34. In any case, let's continue forward. The Imperial Guard was being battered by a giant gun, and while normally in the lore nobody really cares what happens to the Imperial Guard, for some reason we decided to dive in and save them, and so now the Imperial Guard have been saved.
Less than 4 minutes.
Bolter fire cannot penetrate. These trains have full defense. There'll be a heavy weapon ahead. Forward then.
Anyways, as I was saying, we had saved the Imperial Guard, which is typically not one of those things anybody really tries to do, because everything and anything an Imperial Guard does is pretty much expendable. Like, you just don't worry about it, because that's what Imperial Guards are made to do. They die. And there's a turret up there. Did I already shoot the guy on the turret? I must have shot the guy on the turret already. That guy had fallen back. Let's keep an eye out. So we've got to get up to that point turret right now because there's a dropship up above us. There he is right there. And what we've got to do is we've got to deal with him. Now, they said that bolters won't work, but you know what will work? The Vengeance Launcher. So you can actually kind of bug this right here, if you were wondering. Oh god, and they're back in the turret. Get out of the way! Get out of the way! Yeah! Let me go ahead and put a couple rounds on that turret so I don't have to deal with it anymore. What you can do, I don't know if the damage is enabled on it just yet, but what you can do is this. And it should work. In any case, I know I've destroyed it after the initial. I'm trying to see if I can bug the game right now, so bear with me. It appears as though damage, it's actually invulnerable right now. That's fine. I was just trying to be a dick and break the game. But what you can do is they said that it's immune to bolter fire, and that's absolutely 100% true. But what you can do to make your life a little bit easier, oh my god, particle effects everywhere. What you can do to make your life a little bit easier is you can hit him with the Vengeance Launcher while you're trying to fight him later. He's essentially the first boss. He's the boss of the first act, and he's quite difficult actually. He's no fun to fight with, not necessarily because he's difficult, but because he has a little surprise for you, which you'll see in just a moment. Let's get ourselves on up here. I'm going to get my Stalker Bolter out first because that's going to be the weapon of use in just a moment. And let's put a couple plasma rounds on this big baddie here. I was hoping that I will have dealt some damage to him. Now, one of the things I did want to cover in this LP is that I am planning on talking a bit more about the lore as we go through. He's pretty far out. That's a tougher shot to nail right there. And now we're overheated. And I think he's going to come up on my right, if I remember correctly. And so what your goal is now is pretty much just to, like, brutalize him. Let go of the gun! Let go of the gun! How many times must I press E before you let go of the gun, you dunce? Oh my god. So the guns are sticky. In case you were wondering, the guns are very, very sticky. It feels as though they've been to some kind of swinger party. And they really do kind of suck in that respect. Alright, so now we've got our Stalker Bolter, and we gotta get some armor back. And why do we need said armor back? Because they're about to drop a knob right on top of us. And I don't want a knob on me. I don't want a knob anywhere other than the knob that I came pre-installed with. I'll keep that one. But the other ones can go somewhere else. I need to fight him like so. And once I saw his head off, we'll get ourselves a little bit of... And unfortunately, I wasn't given much cover there, so that Slugga Boy pretty much undid all of the health that I got back. We're being fired upon once more. Let me get my Vengeance Launcher out. Alright, and I should probably break the gun off of its God, he is moving right now. He is definitely painted red. So orcs believe that anything that they paint red goes faster. And in fact, anything they do paint red does go faster because they believe. And I need mouse 2 to tear this bad boy off. So let's tear it off. And then what we'll do is we'll try and use this kind of a mobile... Oh no. Luckily, it's a pretty useful gun. As you can see, it puts down knobs like it doesn't even matter. It cuts through them as though they weren't even there, kind of one of the bonuses of having a plasma weapon in the first place. And I think the better plan to begin with probably was to break this thing off now that I'm administering a solution or kind of trying to work out a solution. It appears as though he's sprung a couple leaks, which is good. If we press the R key, we can allow it to vent. You can also charge up a shot if you wanted to, which is pretty useful in the case that you're trying to do like AoE damage to get rid of somebody. There's no limit to the ammunition you have on this gun, so you can just keep using it to your wonderful little blue heart's content, your Smurfy heart's content. And I just cannot lead this thing properly. I am just woefully inept right now. I am making the Adeptus Astartes Ultra look foolish. Then again, he is pretty far out, so... Is he falling back now? What's happening here? Oh, he's coming into strafe. That's enjoyable. Where is his next batch going to be dropped at? I know he's going to put some more right on top of me. I'm trying to keep large green objects just not on top of me. I mean, anywhere but on top of me. I don't want this to be like one of those weird medieval things where they put stones on you to figure out if you're a witch. And of course, gratuitous explosions. Now, somebody had raised the question, why don't the Marines in this game wear helmets? It's fan service. Typically what you'll see from Games Workshop is that characters that are prominent won't wear helmets just so you can identify them on the battlefield and keep them apart from everybody else. There's no, like, Terminator honors or anything about not wearing a helmet. Like, you don't have to earn it. It's just, well...
still holds.
Some Imperial Guard units made it here after all.
They cannot hold for long. We must hurry.
But anyways, it's not like an honor or anything that's bestowed upon you not to wear a helmet. It's just because they're characters in a game, they want you to be able to identify between them. In fact, I think it probably would have been more... Space Marines, in a sense, are sort of faceless. I mean, they have their own personalities and everything, but...
What is that servo skull doing?
Trying to deliver a message. Must be damaged. The seal of the Inquisition. Interesting.
What is the Inquisition doing here?
We're about to find out.
This is Inquisitor Drogan. I need urgent assistance at Manufacturer and the Jackets. They're after the experimental device. The device is safe for the time being. I've drawn them off. But now I'm trapped. If I die, you must keep the device out of enemy hands. Or he'll be unstoppable. I needed more time. I was nearly ready.
An experimental weapon.
We need to find the Inquisitor before the orcs do. Keep moving. Remain alert.
So as I was saying, what we'll do is we'll talk about the lore a little bit more as we go through the game, and we'll start with something simple, like what is a Space Marine? Well, in the grimdark future, 40,000 years in the future, the universe is pretty much like torn apart by war and different factions. You've got orcs, you've got the Eldar, you've got the Tau, you've got the humans, you've got the Imperial Guard, which are a subset of the humans, and you've got...
Serve the machine god by joining corpse removal crews at your designated evacuation
That's kind of a downer. But in any case, the Space Marines are essentially the ultimate elite troops of the Imperium. They used to have a lot more Space Marines. Like, there used to be loads and loads and loads of them until, like, a bunch of the chapters broke off and became Chaos Space Marines during the Horus Heresy.
Captain, look! The orcs must be operating that crane.
They will not stop until they break through that gate.
We must disable that crane.
That is a hell of a crane. That thing is enormous. But in any case, Space Marines are basically super soldiers. And how they're created is they have this thing called a gene seed, and they implant it. After a Space Marine dies, you get your gene seed, and they extract it from you, right? And they put your gene seed into another person, and they do a bunch of, like, organ installations. Basically, they do a whole bunch of transhumanistic stuff, which creates, like, the ultimate soldier. You kind of grow, you become, like, 10 feet tall, you get super strong, you have heightened senses, you can spit acid, you can eat basically anything you want. Like, certain chapters of the Space Marine, after they have their Super Space Marine stomach installed, they have a contest to see who can eat the grossest thing without throwing up. But basically, they implant a whole bunch of organs in you, and then through that gene seed, you get all beef-caked out, and you become like an ultimate super soldier. And there's only 1,000 Space Marines in each chapter, so there's 1,000 Ultramarines, there's 1,000 Grey Knights. That was set up for a reason after the Horus Heresy as well. But anyways, there's so much to talk about here that it's really hard to pick like a starting point for the lore. It's kind of like trying to talk about Dragonlance, where it's like, well, you can kind of start from the beginning, but in any case, people in the Imperium worship the Emperor, which at one point the Emperor was an actual guy. Guardsman Alexander. At this point, what you'll find is that the Emperor is just like entombed in this giant machine body, and nobody really knows if he's alive or dead or not. Some people wager that he's the only reason that Chaos hasn't destroyed humanity yet is because he's using his unending willpower from the grave, or from his semi-comatose sleep inside his sarcophagus, to hold back the tides of chaos. But, you know, it's hard to tell. It's one of those things that's completely and totally subjective. Like, nobody really knows the answer, and it's never been elucidated on in the lore. And in fact, I think it might ruin the lore slightly if they did. In any case, though, I will try and talk about the lore a little bit more as we go through the game. The fact that the Inquisition is here is kind of an odd thing. The Inquisition is a branch of the Imperium that essentially they can do whatever they want. Like, if you think of the Catholic Inquisition, like back in the day, it's essentially kind of the same thing as that, where they basically had carte blanche to kind of just like track people down, execute whoever they want, basically have a rowdy good time at the expense of everyone else. In the Imperium, the Inquisition is almost always bad news. It doesn't matter who you are. They're pretty bad for their own side, just as well as everybody else. They're more than likely to put everybody else up on heresy charges too, rather than just kill the enemy. I'm sure in this game they'll make it out like the Inquisition's all super kind and friendly. But in the actual lore, if the Inquisition shows up, you know you're absolutely hosed. It's kind of like a commissar showing up. Commissars are these guys that shoot you in the back when you're in the Imperial Guard. Basically, they keep morale up, and they do that by murdering people. But anyways, the Inquisition's supposed to root out heresy and chaos. And they can basically... they have the permission of the Imperium to go to any lengths to do it. Like, they can basically... the Inquisition can requisition an entire Space Marine chapter to help them accomplish their mission if they really want to. And the Space Marine chapter would be very, very hard-pressed to come up with a reason to disobey the order. Like, essentially, if the Inquisition feels like doing the paperwork, they can basically make anything happen within the realm of the Imperium. Doesn't look like there's too many enemies here. These are also not electrician improved. Why do they have to put skulls on everything? I mean, I get the point that it's...
Forward. Clear out the orcs.
Ooh, that was a... ooh, there's a knob. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Oh my god. The AI just killed me. So the AI just killed me right there with its absolute and unequivocal stupidity. Basically, that right there is the problem with power armor. So the AI, for whatever reason, decided to stop right in the middle of this walkway, and because they're so large, I can't get by them, and since I'm the only person that can actually die in this group, they kind of just set me up to fail right there, which is incredibly irritating. Essentially, there's no point dodging the knobs either because they hit you no matter what you do. It's one of the things I noticed playing multiplayer in this game, is that knobs hit you no matter what direction you jump out of the way. Like, you take the hit either way, so you might as well just get used to it and be happy about it. This time we're going to try something a little bit different.
Clear out the orcs.
There it is. And so now, you gotta be careful when you run up on the knobs, too.
Even a single shot will blast right through the gates.
We cannot allow that.
Alright, so anyways, now we're pushing another button. It seems to be the main thing that we do in this game is just push a button to make things happen. That is a huge gun. Oh my god. That is a gun of impressive caliber.
Number 2 control deck, do you read?
This is Captain Titus of the Ultramarines. Identify yourself.
This is Corporal Antioch, sir. That is, my lord.
I need access to the Manufactorum, Corporal.
There is a service lift in the hangar directly below where you drop the cargo, my lord. We can meet you there.
Stand ready. We will be there shortly. Titus out.
Definitely going to be needing some ammunition. It looks like they are more than willing to oblige, so we'll grab some extra ammo for the Vengeance launcher. There it is right there, and it appears as though we have pretty much gotten, well, a slight restock. Not a restock that would make me happy, but as I was saying before we got cut off so rudely by storyline, with the knobs you want to be careful when they're in their stun state. I've had this weird thing.
That huge gate, they cannot last long.
Did manage to bring the access bridge down, robbing the orcs of their advantage of numbers.
As I was saying, well, I've completely and totally forgotten what I was talking about now. Whatever. In any case, they've refilled us with ammunition. We need to start making our way over. Oh, good, there's squigs around everywhere. Oh, yeah, the knobs. So the problem with the knobs seem to hit you no matter what you do. That's the first problem with the knobs. It's like, really, even if you dodge well out of the way, the collision seems a little odd with their melee. There's a stick bomb right there that they just threw at us. And then the second thing I was going to say is you want to be careful when you're running up on a knob when they're in their stun state, because sometimes they come out of it and they body slam you and it's basically a one-shot that kills you instantly. It's one of those weird Gears of War type things they put in without like really thinking about it, I think. I'm not a big fan of like one-shot deaths, although we aren't wearing a helmet, so honestly it's not outside the realm of the fantastical. In any case, let's keep puncturing green things. And there's one shooter boy left over there. Get rid of his pet squig. He's like, no, Squiggy, no. He's so upset about it. He didn't even do anything. He shot my squig. I'd be super upset if somebody shot my squig. My squig would be badass. I'd give him like a little backpack, maybe like a little Santa hat. I mean, I think it would have to be a pretty large Santa hat to put on a squig because they are like basically just spheres with legs. And so I think the diameter of the Santa hat would have to be quite large. Oh good. I definitely feel comfortable with this situation.
Here they come.
We gotta get rid of all the little guys that are bum rushing us, just to make sure. They don't do a lot of damage, but they do have little knives. And unfortunately, against power armor, like within the realms of Warhammer 40K, it'd be kind of weird if a grot managed, that's what those are called, they're called grots. But anyways, it'd be kind of weird if a grot managed to kill a space marine. I mean, they could do so with a huge advantage in numbers, but it'd be kind of strange. It'd be weird from what I remember. Grots tend to be more useful for like Imperial Guards and things of that nature. Then again,
Hurry. The greenskins are on the move again. If they find the access point we are using, we will not last long.
and I'm not point blank sniping for like any particular reason right here. It was just kind of the weapon that I had in hand at the moment. It's kind of like one of those moments where you're swapping through weapons in like any shooter and you're like, oh god, and you just kind of twitch and go for it because it's what you have already. Let's see if we can't make it to another checkpoint before we break off our episode here. Put a couple rounds on him, maybe soften him up a slight bit because they are looking a little odd lately. They're odd boys. That's another well-known fact about orcs is that they're fundamentally incapable of saying the letter H. Like, that is basically their kryptonite. If you tell an orc to say an H, he's just toast. It's like their shibboleth. Couple more left in here, but he was just kind of staring at us blankly. He was having one of those days. It's probably his Friday or something. Like, he's on the shift, but he's not really there. That's what I do on my Fridays. You just kind of sit there and stare at a wall until your shift is over, and you really hope that some guy with a giant grenade launcher firing waddle bottles of death won't... Waddle bottles? A waddle bottle. Oh my god. A water bottle of death. A waddle bottle sounds like... I don't even... It's just basically, if you wanted to visualize it in my head, it was just basically like one of those wineskins from like biblical times, but then it's got like 2 muscular legs attached to it, and that's what a waddle bottle looked like in my head. As I was saying it, that's what I pictured. Just in case you were wondering. It looked like there was way more grenades in that box than 3, but I'm not going to be pedantic here. Let's see if we can't make it to the lift before we break off this episode, because I think that's really...
We are in position.
There's going to be something horrible in the lift. I know it. There's going to be just something absolute. Look at the size of that door. Whatever comes, it's going to be a mech boy or something. Watch. I know it. I can feel it deep down. I can feel the tingling through the nether. I almost said the tingling through my nethers, but I felt like that might be a little R-rated. You guys don't need to know the status of anybody else's nethers here at the Nerd Castle. Unless the lift is coming up this way.
Orcs! An entire horde! Antioch, hold the lift. We have orcs inbound.
Yeah, that's about what I figured. Well, let's go ahead and hip fire some rounds out, and I swear to God I told him to reload, but maybe I cut it off with my own shooting. Now you do want to try and use the AI to your best advantage to kind of hold off the enemy. What they'll do is they'll get bogged down like that. Don't put yourself in the front is basically the advice that I would give you. It's a terrible idea. You can throw grenades at your own guy. Basically, you can fire wantonly into the melee and never have anything to worry about. It's kind of an odd situation the game has done where your companions don't really have knockout counters or anything of that nature. It's like something you would see in Gears of War, where you would routinely have people get knocked out and then you gotta go rescue them. You don't have to worry about that in this game. I am feeling a little bit wanting for bullets, though, which is kind of scary. They're coming around that way? Alright. I should probably get rid of the shooters at some point. There's that right there. And now that we've managed to cleave our way through the horde, that's the guy I want. Ooh, there's a bunch of them. Okay, let's see if we can't kill at least 1 or 2 of them before we go anywhere else. And you know they're going to drop like 50 knobs on us. There's going to be like more knob than a gigolo brothel up in here in just a minute. Like, I have this just distinctive feeling. They've got me semi-backed into... What is this? What? There's a power axe? Hold on. What? Let's make this happen right now. I didn't even realize we had a power axe. But now that we have a power axe, I'm feeling a little bit better about my prospects here. Give him a shoulder slam, oh doom. And the power axe. The power axe is a weapon that is just amazingly badass. I don't really know how it works. I couldn't tell you. I'm not an expert on Imperial weaponry. Yep, and there's our knobby buddy. I knew he was going to be here. Let me get my snipey back. And what I'm going to attempt to do is outpace the knob by running around things here. Is he going to cut me off, or is he going to stay where I want him to be? Apparently the power axe was not enough, and now we've been stunned to oblivion. Power axe, now it's going to do it. And it appears as though it blows and cracks open heavy armor. I'm caught up in the moment right now. I'm having like an Asia thing going on where it's like the heat of the moment. Not going to focus too heavily on that knob right now. Oh, there he is right there. Okay, let's get another gun back. God, I'm out of bullets on everything. The amount of ammunition in this game is definitely not suitable for a Warhammer 40K game. Like, there should be a lot more ammunition. Then again, they did just give me a new shiny power axe, so... You know, maybe it's just my own aversion to melee with a knob. I mean, look at the size of that guy. Look at the size of him. That is a huge... Oh, the Imperial Guard are here to get wiped out. That's good. Let's use them as human shields then, since it's what they're good for anyways. And there's that knob's hit of magic. And since I'm trapped using... Oh, I wanted to execute him with the axe and see what the new fatality was going to be.
Corporal Antioch?
Yes, my lord.
We have word that an Inquisitor is in the Manufactorum.
Yes, Lord Drogon. We have not seen him for several days. Has the Liberation Fleet arrived, my lord?
The fleet is still en route, Corporal. The Ultramarines are here as a vanguard, to cripple the enemy and secure the most valuable assets.
I see.
But the facility and its titans remain secure.
All I can say for certain is that no orc has breached this gate, my lord.
Contact Lieutenant Mira. Her unit is establishing a bastion in Hab Center Andres, and your support craft now have a viable approach from orbit.
What of the Colonel and his staff?
They did not survive.
Here we are, my lord.
My thanks, Corporal.
I think what I'll do is I'm going to break off the episode right here. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me in this another episode of Warhammer 40K Space Marine. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Take care out there, everybody. And as always, hi do.